Hey, what's going on guys? My name is Matt Charlton from MLC Tech, and now the world of TV buying can be quite confusing with all types of different manufacturers, all different types of panel types with different panel types such as OLED, QD OLED, LED, LCD, QLED. Now imagine you are shopping for a TV in the more budget end of the market, that being the £300 to £500 range, and you see TVs from manufacturers such as TCL advertising QLED displays. Now you might be thinking, whoa, quantum dot LEDs on a TV of this price point? But I never thought I could afford this on my budget, considering they're more expensive on offerings from Samsung. At the end of the day, I care about panel quality, so I'm going to go with this one from TCL opposed to paying extra from Samsung. Now imagine buying that TCL TV to find out it's not actually a QLED panel. Now, this news comes after a Munich court has sided with Samsung in a recent lawsuit about what counts as genuine QLED technology, which has resulted in an order for the Chinese manufacturer TCL to halt sales and advertising of certain television models in Germany. The ruling found that TCL was in violation of Germany's unfair competition law, which highlights deeper divisions within the display industry over how manufacturers define and market quantum dot panels. Now, this whole issue revolves around what can be a confusing question in the panel landscape, and that is, what actually is a quantum dot display? What counts to be able to officially say you've got a quantum dot display? Now, quantum dots are the nanoscale semiconductor particles that gives QLED displays the enhanced color range and brightness. Now, according to the court's ruling, TVs advertised by TCL do not deliver the colour reproduction expected from QLED TVs, effectively misleading consumers about the underlying display technology. As I alluded to earlier, you see a panel for £300 and you think, oh, quantum dot, that's the bright one, that's the one with the nice colours and stuff, the one that I would rather get, but I can't afford to get a Samsung one. And then to find out, actually, you're not getting what you're paying for. Now, this ruling applies specifically to TCL's QLED 870 series and other models that are sold in Germany as well. But why this ruling only applies to the market of Germany, similar lawsuits are moving forward in other regions such as the United States. And Samsung, which helped bring QLED technology to the market to begin with, initiated the complaints, arguing that TCL's branding misleads customers and dilutes the QLED label. Now, while we can benchmark TVs and get certain brightness levels such as certain colour gamut benchmarks, but with this whole issue it was much easier to prove that these aren't quantum dot displays at all. Now, independent labs, that being SGS in Geneva and also Intertech in the United Kingdom, tested 3 TCL television models that the company has marketed as quantum dot QLED displays, and upon their analysis, the researchers found no trace of indium or cadmium, which are the two elements integral to forming the light-emitting quantum dots within these TVs to begin with. And the reason why this is substantial is that in the display industry, indium phosphide or cadmium selenide compounds are typically used to produce the quantum dots that drive QLED color performance. Now, the fact that the panels were absent of these materials meant TCL televisions do not contain true quantum dots, despite being sold as much. Which, quite frankly, is the biggest smoking gun. We can talk about colour calibration, quality of the panel overall, but the fact is, this isn't even a bad example of a QLED panel. They outright do not have quantum dots in them at all. However, TCL has hit back and has apparently rejected those findings and have apparently presented results from its own laboratory testing. Definitely going to have no biases there at all. Now, in TCL's version of their analysis, which focused on the company's quantum dot film layers rather than the finished televisions themselves, the results confirm the presence of cadmium compounds, suggesting that disputed models did incorporate quantum dot materials. The company said that the variation may depend on supply and production batch, but argued the technology in question met the industry expectations for QLED performance. Which does throw a lot of doubt into the mix of where they say, oh, actually, there were some cadmium compounds within the TV somewhere. Right? It doesn't do anything to resolve any qualms that I have. Now, the contradiction between these two sets of results hinges largely on the testing methodology that was apparently used. Whereas previous studies analysed complete television sets, TCL's evaluation examined isolated display components. Now, this distinction has fueled further debate over which approach more accurately represents a TV marketing properties, and whether TCL displays achieve similar visual outcomes even if their internal chemistry diverges from strict QLED definitions. Now, the decision in Germany is the first major legal outcome in the dispute around this panel technology, though it looks like it's not going to be the last, with official complaints being filed with the US Federal Trade Commission accusing TCL of false advertising, and class action lawsuits are underway in multiple US states. Now, while the focus of today's story is on TCL, it's also important to note that rival manufacturers such as Hisense has also faced similar complaints, suggesting that the boundaries of quantum dot marketing are becoming much harder to police. One of the most recognised independent testing groups in Germany in consumer electronics has granted official marks to both Samsung and TCL, but for different criteria. Now, according to them, Samsung displays were certified as real quantum dot displays, while TCL received certification for realistic visual experiences, which is just a general performance category that doesn't explicitly address the use of quantum dots. But the fallout of this means for now TCL has an injunction in Germany, which means a temporary halt on certain models besides its immediate commercial impact. And this ruling effect can have a further knock-on effect, which could push regulators in other markets to revisit how advanced display technologies are labelled. Now, with Germany being an EU country and how we see a lot of consumer right movements trail along from EU countries to wider EU law, which then impacts global policy, it's very likely that we could see a further push for clearer definitions and official categorization of display type technologies, opposed to having them relegated to the confusing land of TV marketing, which quite frankly is so confusing and out of control. And it's very important because it's not just in the QLED space where this confusion arrives, as even more competing formats exist. You know, QLED, OLED, mini LED, micro LED, QD OLED, all types of hybrid displays that combines a bunch of different technologies on top of that too. So these panel types and definitions of them are gaining a lot of complexity, which can cause further confusion amongst different buyers, and then with all this confusion with technical actual definitions, makes the black hole for marketing and branding people to come in and try and convince you that it's something more or something better than what it actually is, meaning you have no idea if you're actually getting a good deal when you see it when you go shopping for a TV or not. Which is really sad to see, because we are turning technical innovation into a branding exercise rather than a matter of engineering and showing off, the innovation that the engineers behind the scenes can really show. It's all a matter of who can fight for the best branding, the best marketing, so it appears like, oh, actually, CCTVs are the more brightest, the more colourful, the most colour accurate they can be compared to other competitors, opposed to just knowing, hang on, it has this specific panel, oh, I know that's a good one. And while I can't say I'm a friend of Samsung, I do also see it from their point of view on how a sub-tier panel marketed as QLED can diminish Samsung's brand image and the brand image around QLED as a whole, as it does put the perception into people's mind that all QLEDs are going to be as bad as TCL's offering, and then if they look at Samsung's offering, they think, oh, why would I step up to Samsung's offering if it's a QLED? That I heard QLED panels are bad because TCL version was bad and all QLEDs are the same. Right, it's the panel type, not the TV as a whole. So I understand how that confusion can put a lot of people off, which just further highlights the immediate need for clearer definitions and easier to understand definitions of different panel types, so you know exactly what you're buying at the point of sale. Anyway, that's going to be it for today's video. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think of the marketing around what contributes as a quantum dot display? And what do you think of this ruling having found TCL not selling true quantum dot displays? Let me know all your thoughts and opinions around this in the comments down below. Anyway, I've been Madison Charlton from MLC Tech. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in a video soon. Goodbye for now.